First of all, Bill, it's an honor of mine to be able to talk to you. Obviously, you've made a career decision here, so thank you very much for spending some time with us. I guess I want to start with the initial reaction to the announcement, which came out earlier this week about your retirement and moving on to the next phase of your life.
Well, my reaction to the people's response is, as I told you a moment ago, I'm kind of overwhelmed that, I mean, I love San Antonio and wish I'd moved here a long, long time ago. But the people have been so supportive, not only of the broadcast that we've done over the years, but when I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma last year, right before the season started, from that time on, the outpouring of support has just been amazing. People would come up to me at games and give me cards and hugs and this and that. And then when the Spurs announced the retirement, the reaction on social media, I keep waiting for at least a couple of those, hey, I'm glad you're gone. But maybe those have been screened out. But it's been amazing, and I'm so appreciative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you absolutely love, I mean, you've become family for a lot of Spurs fans, obviously, in their homes every night during, during games and things of whatnot. So I guess what's been the biggest surprise from the reaction that you've received so far?
I just think the length that people have gone to either put memes on social media to, it's one thing to just say, hey, congrats, Bill, hope you have a good life. And some people have written essays. I think it's just the whole enormity of it, that how many people have replied. There's a couple that have put on there that just make you laugh. Somebody had put on there about you're the GOAT, and they need to have a GOAT statue of you, and it was a picture of a goat with a microphone standing outside the arena. You're thinking like, wow, this guy really went to a lot of trouble to just say thanks for being around for 21 years.
Yeah, well, you have been a big part of a lot of great moments in Spurs history. I do want to ask you, what ultimately kind of led to this decision? Why do you feel that the time is right for you to make this this move here?
Well, you hear a lot of times athletes talk about when they get late in their career and maybe they're thinking about retirement. And I've always heard people say that, well, when you're thinking about retirement, you probably ought to retire, because I've had a lot of people that told me 4 or 5 years ago, hey, when are you going to retire? And I said, man, I don't never. They're paying me to go to ball games that I'd be watching anyway. But they said, well, you'll know. Well, right before last season and the conclusion of the 22-23 season, I was thinking in the off season, and maybe this would be my last year. Then when I got hit with this multiple myeloma, I was like, man, this is really a serious deal. And the team was so good about allowing me to work around treatments and times when I had to miss some games here and there. And selfishly, it was a great distraction. Instead of sitting around worrying about your diagnosis, it's like, no, I'm back into work mode of preparing for games. Mm-hmm. And I had a terrific time. And the team was supportive, our production crew, Mike Kikarillo, our director of broadcasting, Daniel Ashcraft, our producer, and all of the guys, Sean Elliott, Dan Weiss, the gang were just incredibly supportive. And because there were times during games that, man, I just really had to focus more than ever because I just wasn't feeling great. But when the season ended, I asked Mike Kikarillo, I said, hey, can you give me a month or so? Because I was having the transplant, the stem cell transplant in May. And I said, I just don't know how I'm going to feel. Well, I came through it and feel better every day, and have just completed what they call a 100-day recovery period. But as well as I'm feeling, I just went back to that original thought of this was going to be my last year, and I still want to do a lot of things, whether it be travel. Both our sons are high school basketball coaches here in Texas. I want to be able to see more of their games. We've got a grandchild, another one on the way. I love to play golf, and it's just like, no, I think it's time.
Yeah, yeah. So you kind of led me to my next question, but congratulations on hitting that 100-day milestone. Obviously, I think when you made this announcement public, that was during the Clippers game, right, last year?
Yes.
I think right before Thanksgiving holiday. I know that there was obviously a lot of support, a lot of reaction. So I think a lot of fans would like to know, how are you doing right now, and how are the treatments going? And you kind of answered that, but if you want to expand on that just a little bit more.
Well, I try to give you a Reader's Digest version because multiple myeloma, blood cancer, not curable, but very treatable. And I emphasize very treatable because I'm an example of coming through it and feeling terrific. I went through a series of treatments during the season in cycles, being on a chemo pill and getting some shots a couple of times a week. And I would have 3 weeks on or 2 weeks on, a week off. And I did 4 cycles like that. And then at the point in March, I went in for what they call a stem cell collection. And they freeze those cells once they've been cleaned and rinsed, and it's still unbelievable what science can do. And then when the season ended in May, I went in for the transplant where it's like a scene of Dr. Frankenstein. The guy comes in with these huge gloves and carrying these bags of blood, and they warm them up, and then they insert them into a PICC line, and it's like a 20 or 30 minute process. And then it's the recovery period. And right before that, they give you a blast of chemo that knocks out everything, including your immunization system. So had to stay in the hospital for 12 days until I could build up enough strength to where I was home and isolated for, a good month and a half, to where you didn't want to be around anybody because the possibility of catching something. But got stronger and stronger, and they say that after 100 days that you're going to get back to what hopefully is what you had before. And I'm still visiting with some doctors now, but was able to go to Colorado for a couple of weeks. Yeah. And I feel terrific right now. So it's just a matter of, I tell people, you want to get it into extra innings because it is going to come back at some point. I've known people that have been in remission for 13 years after just one transplant. They say the average is 3 to 5 years, but there's all kinds of trials going on, and they're developing new ways to combat it. So you just hope that, hey, you stay in remission long enough to when it does return, there's a new kind of a treatment and hopefully a cure, which their doctors are saying that maybe within 5 to 6 years, they might actually have a cure for it.
Yeah, well, you look great, Bill. Glad to see that you're even back traveling, back on the golf course as well. So.
Yeah, my game's still bad. I wish the new cells would have helped that.
That would have been nice, but you do look great. Want to reflect a little bit on your time calling the Spurs games here. Do you have a favorite moment or a favorite call? I don't know if you've been able to sort of go back through your history calling games and to kind of really hone in on that or think about that.
No, I can't come up with a specific one. I guess what I really cherish are those segments of the game, no matter when they happen, where as a fan you're watching and the Spurs get on a run and you're thinking, oh man, the guy gets a steal, he gets a dunk, they go down, somebody blocks a shot, they come down, they hit a three-pointer, they press, they come. It's like, are they going to get that extended run to where you really feel the roof is going to come off the building? And there's a few times during every season where those kind of hit, and those are the ones that you really enjoy. And then also, obviously, the game-ending situations where the Spurs will hit a game winner. But actually, the one, I think the thing that really pops into mind when I was just really excited to be in a part of the organization at all was in 2014 when they won the championship. Of course, we don't get to do local TV during the finals, but I was on the radio with Bill Schoening, and just being his sidekick. And when the Spurs in Game 5 blew out the Heat, and there were several moments during that game where, again, you're thinking the roof is gone, I literally got chill bumps, and that never happens during a telecast. But just to see that team have the guts to fight through what they went through the last year and make it their mantra that, hey, we're gonna come back and get the title that we felt we deserved the year before, and then to have it come against Miami. That's what overall sticks out.
Yeah, I always tell people that when Manu got the dunk over Chris Bosh, and later on when they went on that three-point spree, that I felt like the entire arena was shaking.
Patty Mills,
I was in the building for that game.
Yeah.
It was incredible moments there. Yeah, that's great stuff. And I'm sure that you're talking about those moments where you could feel sort of the roof coming off. The game you called against with Denver, with Devontae Graham hits the game-winning shot, and Wemby goes on that incredible run in the third quarter. Does that? I mean, it doesn't match up to a finals game, but I'm sure those are the moments that stick with you.
That was, I believe, the second to last home game, here's Denver really wanting to win that game, and here the Spurs. Okay, they're not playing for anything, and they finally got a chance to really knock off this team. And Devontae Graham, who was such a great guy and a role player, hardly playing, hits that. And then just the whole aura with Wemby being so involved as a true team guy, as the youngest guy on the team. Yeah, that was just a great moment of celebration. I'll never forget that.
Absolutely. Bill, do you remember your first game that you called for the Spurs when you were basically put into the permanent position of the play-by-play man for the TV side of things?
I don't.
Do you recall the feeling of it?
I don't remember the very first. What I do remember, the mic back here, is the first game that I did for the Spurs. Maybe 1990, but I was filling in, and I did that for like 3 or 4 years when whoever was announcing the game, whether it was Dave Barnett or others, I would fill in. And it was in Denver, and Jerry Tarkanian was the coach.
Wow.
And it was like the second game of the season, and Dan Issel was the coach for the Nuggets. And I can remember going down, and I was visiting with Jerry Tarkanian just briefly, and I'd met him before when he was at UNLV, but just trying to get a little help for preparation, whatever. And Dan Issel comes over, and he's looking at Jerry Tarkanian, and I'm just kind of the fly on the wall, and they're talking, and he goes, well, how are you liking this and this? And Tarkanian goes, it's horrible. And he said, what do you mean? He goes, you don't get to practice enough. And he goes, I'm just telling you, Tark, do not practice. He goes, you will wear these guys out by Christmas. You can't do it. It just, the season started, and here we go. And he goes, I'm just baffled. He goes, and I was just sitting there thinking, well, this is one of the greatest college coaches ever. Yeah. And obviously it didn't work out too well for Tark, but I worked with Kobe Dietrich, a former Spurs player. He was terrific and everything else. And it was a thrill just to be able, because it was one of my goals was to do professional sports at the highest level, and I never knew that it would lead to end up being the guy, if you will.
Yeah, incredible stuff. I mean, like you said, just to be a fly on the wall, and then Tark is pretty much gone shortly after that. Yeah, those are some incredible moments in Spurs history that I don't know, especially this newer generation, had no idea about.
Right.
So that's a great memory there. Bill, I have to ask you, Oh Mama, what is the history of that? Where did that come from?
Well, it actually, when I was at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, I'd gone to Central Missouri as a freshman. I played basketball there. I transferred because the television communications department at SIUE was far superior. Well, when I transferred, I had to redshirt a year, sit out. Not the old days of the transfer portal now where you go on the fly every week. At any rate, I got to do the color on the broadcast on the campus radio station. My mom and dad lived about 270 miles away. They obviously couldn't get the broadcast. And my mom was so thrilled for me to just start getting in the business. And I just said, well, I'll give you a shout out even though you can't hear it. And it became Oh Mama on any exciting play that was just kind of a, hey Mom, I'm thinking of you. And obviously she passed a long time ago, but anytime I say it, I still think of, all right, she's up there looking down.
That's incredible stuff. I know from some of the reaction I saw on social media, a lot of Spurs fans were basically tweeting that out there. Oh Mama. You know, Bill, after all the memories, all the years, what do you think that you're going to miss most from calling Spurs games?
The games themselves, yes, but really it's the camaraderie with the crew and the staff and everybody. I mean, we really have become a family. And when you're doing professional sports, and particularly the NBA, you're traveling, and there's a core group of our crew that we've all been together, and we travel with the team and all of that. And we really don't spend that much time with the team, but we do with each other. And you miss holidays, but you're with your second family, and we have so much fun. And I'm really going to miss that as much as anything. And just the thrill of being able to do those games, and the team, is so well respected around the country. And there's a final note that it took me probably 3 or 4 years before I really understood how good this team was. And I can remember, it would hit me when I was first doing the games. Sean would be saying, let's just say the Spurs are playing, it could be the Mavericks, it doesn't matter who. And boy, they're not playing very well at all. And they're down like 15, 16 points in the second quarter. And you're just thinking, man. And Sean will just say, just a matter of time, Bill. Just a matter of time. And I'm just going, what are you so cocky about? I mean, and sure enough, he was right. They get it together, and there was just this feeling, because of whether it was David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and the whole culture of the team, that they are superior, and they, at some point, are going to go on a run, and they're going to wear this other team out, and the other team knows it too, that there's almost undue respect due to him. And you would see it, and it would happen all the time. And then finally, after a few years, I just realized, because Sean was a part of that with that championship team in '99, and he had that feeling and that connection that it's going to happen. And it's just amazing. And then to go full circle, where the Spurs haven't been in the playoffs in quite some time, you see now how good they really were. And you see other teams treating this young Spurs team like, last year they had trouble getting over the hump in key moments, because that's what happens when you play teams that have got their act together and are at the top of the run.
Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. You mentioned your relationship with Sean. Obviously, you guys have spent countless evenings with each other. What was that like for you, and what do you think you'll miss most about him being by your side?
He just personifies class. I mean, everybody knows, boy, that Sean's a good guy. He's a great guy and a great human being. And what you see is what you get with him. He's able to laugh at himself. He's got great humility. He's always concerned about others. Every night this past season, when he would get there, and it's usually about 2 minutes before we go on the air, he'd come over and he goes, partner, he goes, how are you doing? Yeah. No, how are you? And I'd be going, I'm feeling pretty good. No. And it was sincere, and it just, he treats everybody the same. It doesn't matter if you're the low person on the totem pole or the highest, just the utmost respect for Sean.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to interview him a few times. Actually, during this last heart scare, he also came by here. So yeah he's been awesome. So Bill, we talked a little bit about what's next. Obviously, you're going to spend more time with family. I don't know if you want to expand on that, but I'm sure that a lot of your fans, a lot of Spurs Nation want to know what is next for you.
Hopefully a lot of traveling. We've already set up a couple of trips, go with several other couples out to Nevada and St. George, Utah, and on a little golfing, gambling junket here coming up in a couple of weeks. We're taking a fall tour to the Northeast, late September, early October, which I wouldn't have been doing if I was doing this. Get together with some guys that I actually grew up with. There's 7 of us that played high school basketball together. We travel every year and golf and have fun. I'm going down to South Georgia at St. Simon's Island in November with them. As I mentioned, our sons coaching high school basketball, one in Austin, one in Houston. Several trips going there. They'll have an unpaid assistant coach giving them suggestions that they probably don't want to hear. Another grandchild on the way. And I'm not worried about filling the time and plenty of golf as well.
It sounds like you have an action-packed calendar already.
Yeah, and catching several Spurs games.
Of course, of course. Bill, I was kind of looking through your biography, and obviously you had several different stops prior to San Antonio. But what do you think makes San Antonio and the Spurs organization so special, and why did you ultimately decide to settle here?
Boy, I don't want to give you a volume because it'll never make the air, number one. But it's just the city of San Antonio. It just seeps into your soul, is what a friend of mine once told me when and I understood it more and more when I was in corporate housing, but I was in out of town. But once I finally moved here, it's such an accepting city. And I just love that fact. And I wish we'd quit growing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, no, we got this great deal here. Everybody thinks Austin's hot. Austin's wonderful. Yeah. Keep on going there. All right, we just love our San Antonio. But, and the organization kind of exemplifies that. The stamp that, R.C. Buford and Pop and all the players they brought in here and all of the staff, they really are concerned about being good community citizens. And the players that they bring in, Sean's probably told this story before about on draft night many years, he's been in the war room, if you will, and they'll have names up there and he'll say something about, why isn't so-and-so some highly thought of player on there? And they go, it's not a Spur. And it's just that simple. Talented, can be. They've made trades where I've heard later, why did you let go of that guy? Hey, he's a heck of a player. He's just not a Spur. He doesn't fit. And that's what I think of when I just think of this position, that it really is a family and one that we can be so proud of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, incredible stuff. From the big three to now Victor Wembanyama, how special is that you've been able to get a front row seat to that pretty much on a nightly basis? Yeah,
it's been a thrill. I was talking to one of our crew guys just the other day, and I was saying that, we all knew when they got the draft choice, and I'd seen the highlights. When you see him in person, you're going, wow. But then when you start watching him every night, it's what I think people after seeing the Olympics around the world now know, and our country, how unbelievably talented this guy is. But it's not even that. It's just like, and I'll say that if he doesn't suffer an injury, he will be one of the all-time greatest players to ever play the game, because he's got humility. He's got great family upbringing. He's mature beyond his years. He wants to be pushed, wants to be coached. He's accountable when things don't go well. He's never satisfied. I mean, he is such a fit. One kind of story exemplifies that when he came into town after he was drafted, Pop set him up with dinner with Sean, David Robinson, Timmy, Manu. I don't think Tony was around at the time. But anyway, they met for like 2 hours and everything else. And one of the questions Sean told me that he asked, he said, okay, we're going on a road trip. And he said, we leave San Antonio, we fly to Portland. After the game that night, we're flying to Los Angeles for a back-to-back. What do you do about your eating habits? What do you do about getting enough sleep? Do you sleep on the plane? Do you do this? Do you do that? And he was like, Sean was going, I was 19 years old. He goes, I'm not worried about sleep or eating habits. I'm kind of wondering about, hey, what's there to do on a day off? Or, hey, we're going out. There's some clubs that we can go to, and it just shows you this guy. And then the other part of it was, you probably saw it in the middle of the season, note came out that he notified the coaching staff that was on the road. He said, if you want to contact me or talk to me in the evening, do it before 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, I read for an hour, and at 10, I go to bed. It's just incredible. And his athletic skills are off the charts as well.
The definition of a Spur, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to the nth degree, right?
Absolutely. Bill, anything else that you'd like to add, just with the amount of reaction and the support that you've received, not only for your health, but also with this decision? Anything else that you'd like to share with Spurs Nations or your fans?
Just so grateful, and I mean, really from my heart to thank you. That I just can't express how much it means. The group of doctors, the coverage I've gotten from Dr. Konopaki, my GP, and to Dr. Crowley at Texas Oncology and Methodist Hospital, their blood medicine clinic, Dr. Cruz, have all been phenomenal, and all the staff, the nurses, the support people. I'm just so grateful that the treatment I've gotten has been the best anywhere. And then of course my family, my wife Gail, has just been a champion, and the support that I've gotten from her and from our sons Taylor and Cooper. Family is everything, and man, I love them all.